Welcome back to Back on Trail, and today literally we are back on trail. This video today is a hike up one of my favorite trails here in Chiang Mai, a trail that I could not find 10-12 years ago, but now it's become very popular among tourists. But a little research among the tourists using the trail reveals that almost nobody, if anybody at all, know about the history of this trail. So that's why I'm bringing you along, because I want to share the history of it. Now, the trail in all its right is a very nice trail, and if you don't know anything about it, well, just walking it is a good value because you get a good exercise, it's out in the nature, and there's a few temples on its way. You can see whether you know the history of them or not. But to me, it just brings so much more value to things when you also know the history. But yeah, well, there's nothing much to say about it. Let's just get hiking. First, a little bit of practical information about the trail. It is 3.5 kilometers long from the trail start. Not from downtown where a lot of people choose to walk, but from the trail start where we just started here. It is almost in straight line all the way up to the temple, Wat Patat Doi Suthep. And it is about 600 meters of climb. So it's a good exercise. I've done it many times. And as you can see, it is a really nice area, though very dry in this time of the year. I'm not sure if it's opened all year long, because I've noticed that this year that it had a period of time where there was a sign up saying that it was prohibited to do the walk from Wat Palat and further up to Wat Patat Doi Suthep. But that remains a question. If you're in here what we call the high season, January, December, I'm 100% sure it will be open, unless it's something very extraordinary. Yes. So now I will show you the way all the way up there. And I hope you enjoy it just as much as I do. Maybe even more so. You don't have to lose your breath doing it. But as you can see on the ground here, it's very rocky, and as such it's a good idea to have proper shoes on. Something that is tight to your feet with a bit of traction. Make sure you bring a hat, sunscreen and water. At Wat Palat there's a small coffee shop. If you go in there in the opening hours, and they've got coffee, tea, water. So there is a good chance of refilling it if you need more than what you brought with you. And it's not far to the temple. A little half an hour's of walk. The whole trail will take about 1.5 hours up, and obviously a little less if you're walking down too. But if you do take the trail up, you have the option by the temple to take one of the pickup buses, red buses, and going down again. Prices can vary a little bit, but I think it's about 60 baht per person, and it'll bring you down to the Chiang Mai Zoo. So that was a little bit about the practical information. Let me just catch my breath, and I'll give you some history about the trail. And this trail is interconnected obviously with the temple at the top of the mountain. And it all started back in 1360 or something. A monk in the kingdom of Sukhothai had a dream once that he had to go to an area called Phang Cha to find a holy relic And he told his king of Sukhothai about it. And the king told him to go take a look. And the monk Sumanatera, he took off. And after some searching, he finally came across a relic. It was a human bone, believed to be the shoulder bone of Buddha. And it had magical properties. It was glowing, it could replicate itself, and it could vanish by its own. So, very happy about his findings, the monk went back to the king of Sukhothai. And when he presented this relic to the king of Sukhothai, the king doubted this authenticity. He was not sure that it was actually a magical bone from Buddha. And so he ended up telling the monk Sumanatera to just keep the bone, hold on to it. And time went by, but the king of Lana, at that time it was in Lamphun, a bit south of the current Chiang Mai, he heard about it. And he got curious. So he asked to see the monk and the relic. And the monk Sumanatera asked permission from the king of Sukhothai to go to the king of Lana to show it to him. And so he did. And as he arrived in Lamphun, what current day is Lamphun, the king believed him, and he initiated the building of a temple in the name of, or to honor, Sumanatera. And he started the building in 1368. And in 1370, the temple was done. And that's the temple that we today know as Wat Suandok. And it's just at the foothill of this trail. If you're walking the whole way down there, not the entrance we did, but the whole way. Now, by the time the temple was about to be finished, or a little earlier, the relic Sumanatera brought to the king of Lana, the shoulder bone of Buddha, miraculously got divided into two, replicated it. And it was a very big surprise. When this relic was replicated, divided into two, the king of Lana decided that one part was to be buried in the stupa of Wat Suandok. And Wat Suandok means the flower garden. And the other half, he decided that it had to be brought on the back of a white elephant that then should wander until it found a place where it would settle down. And that place was to be with a second temple where they buried that relic. So they took a big white elephant, cheers, and a huge entourage of people then followed the elephant as it started wandering up the mountain. At a certain time, it stopped, and they all believed this was the place where they were to build the temple. But fairly quickly, the elephant got up again. So they went on. It made another stop. Now they were sure that this was the right place. Neither was it the case. The elephant again went on, and it did that a third time. The fourth time, when the white elephant made a stop, legend has it that it circled 3 times around itself, trumpeted 3 times, and then it fell over and died. At that very spot, they ended up building the temple. And that's the temple that we today know as Wat Patat Doi Suthep. And that was built in 1383. That's the time they calculate from when the first stupa was built. And the relic of the Buddha shoulder bone is buried in the stupa at the very top of the temple. So this temple is a pilgrimage site for many people around Asia because it's one of the most holy temples in Thailand. But after this temple was built, they decided to build a temple on each of the places that the white elephant made a stop. This is the first step where the elephant had a break. This is the first place where they built a temple. It has not been maintained over the years, so it kind of disappeared. There is still a little bit of a leftover here, but nothing much to be seen, especially not today with all the leaves. But there is a small sign as evidence of it ever been here. And the second place where they did was the only temple that is standing today, and that is Wat Palat. So this particular trail that has been used to connect the city of Chiang Mai with Wat Patat Doi Suthep is this year 637 years old. A lot of people walking this path, they don't know. I even hear somebody talk about thousands of years, when it ain't the truth. The next temple we're coming up to here is Wat Palat. We got this new building. Already looks used, but in reality it's only a year old. That was refreshing with a little bit of water. Make sure you bring your water with you. It can be pretty hard and pretty hot to walk these trails without it. So 10-12 years ago when I did this trail, there were no steps. We had to fight our way actually through this little bit here. I think people mostly just did the hike up through the temple to the road, which is just nearby, and then they walked a little bit further up the road until the trail starts on the other side of the road. But in favor of history and tourism, they have now connected the bottom trail with the upper trail with only a single crossing needed on the road upstairs. And, as I might add, though it does look steep, they actually made it easier on a bit further ahead. So that's pretty alright. But as you probably can see, you gotta be fairly fit to enjoy it, but you don't really need to be very fit to do it. I suppose that's how it goes with so many other things in life, isn't it? Now, as far as Wat Palat that we have just crossed goes, there is a discrepancy there, and it's a bit of an interesting mystery that you probably can help me solve. The discrepancy is year of built. If you go to Wikipedia, which is obviously one of my sources, you will see that it is built in 1383, sorry. That is the temple on the top. And the three temples that was built afterwards to honor the stops the elephant did on its way are all younger than the temple at the top. They were built after Wat Pah Doi Suthep. But some sources suggest that Wat Pah is actually 646 years old, which with quick math makes Wat Pah 9 years younger, older, 9 years older than Wat Pah Doi Suthep. And that doesn't really add up. There is a agreement among people who knows that the site was used even longer time for meditation, among other things. And there are certain proof of that, which is connected to a temple which is down in the Chiang Mai Zoo. But I've not been able to verify the age of Wat Pah. I mean, you can look up a lot of temples and find the history of them, but solid information on that, I've not been able to find that. Yeah, I gotta do other things than doing historical digging. So if I did a bit more digging around, maybe I would come across it. But you might actually find it. And if you're visiting Chiang Mai, it could be an interesting little treasure to figure out. And let me bring you up to the top here. So I mentioned that 10-12 years ago I could not find this trail. This particular trail we're walking right now has always been there and also fairly clear. But the entrance down before Wat Pah, not so much. I mean, it was there, you got the signs, but nobody much knew about it. And the reason being that in 1935 the road up to Doi Suthep, Wat Pah Doi Suthep, was built. And it was built by a very famous monk at the time, Kruba Sivichai. Kruba Sivichai was a man who was very engaged in all sorts of charities and activities in the local community in the Lanna province. He was born in the Ly district south of Lamphun, and he organized the building of the road using, or not using, in cooperation with hill tribes around in the area. And obviously, ever since that road was built, the need for this one was no longer. It was easier to go by car or motorbike to go to the temple. But it is still used, obviously, for tourists, just for the sake of, I have been there, done that, without knowing anything else but the fact that it is a little bit hard. And it's also used by the monks, and it's used by special occasions. Because, as mentioned earlier, Wat Pah Doi Suthep is one of the most sacred temples in Thailand. And as such, it is a pilgrimage site for a lot of people around in Asia. China, India, Vietnam, come from all sorts of places, Singapore, to show the respect to the temple of Wat Pah Doi Suthep. And in honor of Kruba Sivichai, a monument is built down by the foothills of the mountain Doi Suthep. It is just after the Chiang Mai Zoo. When you're going upwards, at your left side you will see a shrine, and there we have a statue of Kruba Sivichai. By the way, just a side note, and behind there you also got a very nice waterfall Huigao waterfall. Very easy accessible, close to town. A lot of people like to go there on weekends and just picnic out. As mentioned, then the elephant made 3 stops. The third stop is not one that we will come by on this trail, because obviously 646 years ago, when this trail was started, it was initiated because of a temple that already was done. So the elephant did not follow neither the current road nor the current trail. It just made its way through the jungle as it felt fit. So the third stop has now been sealed off. There is no allowance to go in, no entry, as you can see on the sign. But the third one is on a small hilltop in front of the observatory, which you passes when you drive with the road. I don't know why they closed it off, but it is what it is. But 10-12 years ago, when I was out researching, it was not. So I can tell you there's nothing much to see there. There is a small shrine of sort, like the ones they use for ghosts here in Thailand. There's nothing else. So the first and the second temple built in relation to the white elephant's walk from Wat Suandok and up to the current Wat Patat Dosutep, they do not exist anymore. Only the Wat Palat, which until 8-9 years ago was a little secret gem. Nobody stopped on their way to Dosutep when they used the road. Hardly anybody knew about the trail, and as such it was a little hidden gem very close to Chiang Mai. Now it's a very popular and very visited temple, and there's a lot of renovation been done over the years and a lot of new buildings. It is not as it was. I suppose that's the way things goes. Once at the top, we will take a little bit of a further hike than just to the road. And I haven't done that little bit before, because previously you had to do the last bit, like 500 meters on the road, but it seems that there is a trail now leading up behind the temple, and I'm curious to see what that is. The temple and its history and its design and its architecture and its use and all that is a totally different video. I'm not sure I'm going to do that. This channel is more about the hiking bit. But another 10 minutes and we are at the top. Last bit, 30 meters probably. 30 fairly steep meters, that is. Oi, cheers. Oi, howdy hop. That was not nice. I was just about to poke somebody's nose with my camera because I didn't see them. So, back in the days, the way to get to the temple was just up there, was to walk by the road here, left turn, right away right turn, and then up to the temple. You can see some housing up there already. But allegedly and apparently we actually have a path going up here. Never done that before, so let's see how that looks like. Information is a little bit sparse here. If you can see, got a house here at the end. I don't think private property is the way to go. We got a house or a path going up there. Could be a coincidence, but it looks pretty deliberate with 2 bamboo across, kind of signaling not going there. So all I'm left with there's some stairs going up here. There's no indication as to whether that is alright, but there's also no indication to the contrary. So I'll give it a shot. Definitely interesting. I would love this to be a genuine path, a legit path, because it's so much more cozy than taking the road, for sure. We got a monument up here. Perfect excuse to take a small break.